people really understood that if we calm traffic, there are a lot of safety benefits to go with that. I mean, over the 5-month period, we had no collisions in that street that were anywhere remotely related to the bike lane. The people who used the bike lane noted it felt a lot safer. People were complaining about us taking it out. They said, hey, I had a great place to ride. What happened to it?
Welcome to Bike Talk, Stephen Mateer. You're the transportation manager for the city of Glendora. And
yes.
we're thrilled to have you. I'm Lindsay Sturman. And yeah, we'd love to ask you about all the changes that have happened since COVID and what do you think about them and what do you think the future is going to be like?
Oh, yeah. Well, and first of all, thanks for having me on. This is really a pleasure. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about Glendora. For those who don't know, Glendora is a nice little town tucked away in East San Gabriel Valley, about a little over 50,000 people. We have a great, charming village, and we're getting the Gold Line in a couple of years. So already there were a lot of changes afoot, and then the pandemic happened. So that it happened right in the middle of some of our first last mile planning that we were doing around the Gold Line. And, our council had a lot of foresight and, really were willing to take a lot of risks. And so, we launched a pretty compelling outdoor dining program, particularly in our village. We opened up 7 parklets on a kind of a quick build basis, and they were resounding success. And really that built upon some of the demo projects we'd done before. And about a month ago, 2 months ago, we wrapped up a 5-month demonstration of our first last mile projects. So we did a protected bike lane, curb extensions, continental crosswalks, all on Glendora Avenue from the station, or where the station is going to be, I should say, up to the village. We collected great community feedback. We had over 500 residents take the survey, received great design feedback, and, we're looking now for funds to implement. So really, as tragic as the pandemic's been, in some ways too, it's been a great way for us to experiment and kind of do some new projects that really I don't think Glendora would have done otherwise.
That is so amazing. Talk us through the design. So it was a quick build, so everything was temporary.
Right.
So tell us about it.
Yeah. So back in 2019, which seems like forever ago, right around Christmas time, we did a 1-day demonstration of a parklet, and a lot of the restaurants were like, no, we do not want to lose parking for outdoor dining. But during the event, it was a tree lighting ceremony, and they were so popular we had to kick people off the parklets when it was time to take them down. And I think that kind of planted the seed of, oh wow, this might be something we can do. Fast forward a year, and we're not allowed to eat at restaurants anymore, and so our economic development manager, our public works department, they all came together, and we just quickly threw out their, PVC pipe, bolted to the ground, built ADA ramps to the street level, and we built very large parklets. They're about 13 feet deep, and some cases are about 40 foot long, or up to 60 feet long, actually. And so, it's been a great success. None of the restaurants in downtown Glendora have closed. They've all been thriving. And, in fact, some actually said they were busier with this outdoor. And I think that really that created that kind of seen and be seen atmosphere in the village. And, even though they were temporary and pop up, the people really bought into it. And actually last council meeting, we awarded a contract to formalize them. So we have permanent parklets on the way. They're being built in Norway now, and are shipped hopefully by August to be installed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which part is getting built in Norway? I thought, I was like, is that a name of a street?
I know. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, we, I said council was extremely open-minded, and they really took a leadership role. So we developed a RFP to go out and find, builders of parklets. We had 2 great bids, and the one we went with, they make prefabricated parklets, and they're made for the Nordic weather. So they're all over Europe. This is a great product.
What's the name of the company? Can we
Vestra Inc. It's totally like a planner's dream to look at their catalog, because it's all these like great public open spaces. Their furniture is gorgeous, and they were great to work with, and so we're excited. Unfortunately, it takes a long time to get here, but it's worth the wait. And yeah, so we're doing all 7. Every restaurant wanted their parklet, permanent. And they're just, everyone's just really excited. It's kind of rare to get everyone to agree on something. And that's kind of where we are.
I'm looking at the website. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Vestre, Vestre.
Yes.
No, it's magical. The stuff is so, it just feels down to earth and authentic and, just very California, frankly.
Yeah, and our village has a really great feel. I mean, it really does feel like you're, a typical San Gabriel Valley downtown. It's got very, quaint restaurants, some great coffee shops. I don't want to shout anyone out in particular, but they're all great here. And so, for listeners and viewers, I mean, please come out and check us out. We have some great stuff, and we'd love to have you.
This is on my to-do list for the next time we're going on an outing. And tell us about the quick build of the bike paths.
Yeah, so that started out with our first last mile planning that we've been doing with the Gold Line. So it was kind of a culmination of about 2 years of planning. When we did the demo parklet back in 2019, we also did a one-day demo of a protected bike lane. Got some good feedback, but again, it was a very quick project, so it wasn't a lot of time, and I don't think people knew exactly what we were doing when we did it. So doing it, council again said, we like the first last mile concept, but we really want to see what it looks like in person, before we commit to spending, millions of dollars on a project. So council directed us to go out and design and, find funding. And we kind of stumbled into it, actually, with the open street events being canceled this year. Metro and the San Gabriel Valley COG freed up money to do, various kind of pandemic COVID focused projects that got people outside or help people get around. So we partnered with Active SGV to install a 2-block long protected bike lane. We used planters, we used delineator posts, tape. What else do we use? We actually had plants that were loaned to us from a local nursery for some landscaping. So it was a great community partnership. I mean, my colleague and I, we were out there once a week fixing the bike lane, because let me tell you, that tape is temporary. And so we learned a lot of hard-fought lessons, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that project. But, it was great to see it in real time. And I think, protected bike lanes are very new to Glendora, are very new to the San Gabriel Valley, particularly our area of the San Gabriel Valley. So it was a really great learning opportunity too for our residents and our elected officials on kind of how this looks, how it can work. What are the trade-offs, right? I mean, there's always going to be some trade-off with these projects. So it really was a great kind of data point for, future decision making.
Were you able to fit the protected bike lane without losing a lane of traffic or parking?
We were able to do it. We did lose one lane of travel. For those unfamiliar, Glendora Avenue is incredibly wide and it's in a regular alignment. So really this was more of a standardization where we have 2 southbound lanes, 1 northbound lane. We went down to just 1 southbound, 1 northbound lane, shifted the parking out. And that allowed us to create the right of way for a protected bike lane. We did change the angled parking to parallel, which lost a few spots, about 40%. And that's one thing we did hear loud and clear from the merchants is do not touch angled parking. We want angled parking. The good news is though, is that our more permanent plans keep the angled parking in place. So, hopefully everyone can be happy or as happy as possible with this arrangement, in the future.
So you had a street that had 2 lanes and one going one direction, 1 lane going the other.
Yeah, right. And the southbound lane is the one that is 1 lane, and it feels like a freeway, honestly, if you bike or drive down it. It doesn't look like a regular lane. So really, this was a kind of a rationalization or a standardization of the street design.
Was part of the way you talked about it was slowing down the traffic?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. There are a lot of I think one of the things we discovered, there are a lot of families that really liked it. And so I think that was a really great showcase that if we build protected infrastructure, families will use it. They'll have their kids out there. I took my 4-year-old out there on his balance bike and he rode up and down. And that was a really great thing to see. The other thing we talked about too is just the safety that, when you have these irregular street designs, you've kind of forced really bad driving behavior. And not because the motorists are doing anything necessarily wrong. They pick up on the wrong visual cues, right? Of, oh, I can go faster. I can kind of be out of my lane. A lot of merchants even noted that too, that because it was so wide and not properly defined, you had people driving through, parking spots because it looked like a lane to people. So, I think people really understood that if we, calm traffic, there are a lot of safety benefits to go with that. I mean, over the 5-month period, we had no collisions in that street that were anywhere remotely related to the bike lane. So it was really good to see that. And, the people who used the bike lane noted it felt a lot safer. In fact, people were complaining about us taking it out. They said, hey, I had a great place to ride. What happened to it? So, it was really good feedback to get on that front too.
So you had to take the bike lanes out?
Yeah, we only had funds to do the demo project, and that tape really should not be used for more than a couple of weeks. We had it there for 5 months, and it just started to look really degraded. And I think that if I could do it again, if we were to do a longer term demo like that, we would use more permanent materials. I think a lot of people got hung up on it looking like a demo project, and had a hard time connecting or separating that from a permanent project.
And what's the next step now?
Hope and pray for money. We applied for the active transportation program, Cycle 5. We weren't funded, unfortunately. We submitted a request to Congresswoman Chu and Congresswoman Napolitano for first last mile, but also for our urban trail projects, which is, I can talk a little bit about that too, if you like. Luckily we made it onto their final submissions. So now we'll just see, how that plays out at the congressional level. We're hoping some of that $500 million from the governor's proposal trickles down to us. I don't know, how far they're going to get down on that list with the ATP submittal. So right now, really our critical path is just finding money for these projects.
Wow. Yeah. Tell us about your trails.
Yeah. So Glendora, we have 3 flood control channels of varying lengths. So the city's had a plan for about the past decade to turn those all into Class 1 bicycle and pedestrian facilities. And it's part of the San Gabriel Valley's Greenway Network plan, and we're part of the early action just because we're much further ahead than other cities in terms of our planning and conceptual design. So similar to our first last mile, we're really looking for money to finalize design and to start construction. We've done a lot of outreach. I think we're really ready to go, and so it'll be exciting to have really true east-west travel options along the flood control channels that connect to the San Gabriel Valley. To the San Gabriels. We have a number of hiking trails. We have South Hills, which is a great hiking trail and parks, and then also some of the shopping and dining that are along Arrow Highway, and also up to the our major regional park, which is Louis Pompey. So these are really exciting kind of recreational and commuting options for our residents.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, like I said, it's just going to come down to money. I mean, if we can just get money, we'd be good.
So was there any math on alfresco dining and calming Glendora Avenue down? You said the merchant said business went up.
I mean, we didn't really have any stats to back that up. That was a lot of just just talking with the individual restaurants. They were all extremely enthusiastic, not only to have the parklets, during COVID, but also the fact that we're making them permanent. They were really excited about that. I know a number of them, they said that that really saved their business.
Wow.
I don't know where they would be without it.
It's people who, if you go to a nice, pleasant street, there aren't cars, you sit and you spend money.
Exactly. Yeah. And it seems simple, but I think for, again, for people out here, that was a hard connection to make, right? That it's okay to lose a little bit of parking in front if that means that 10 more people can sit at your restaurant. And I think people really saw that. They saw that happened, that, okay, I didn't have my 4 or 5 spots in front. Wow. I got to line out the door, socially distanced, of course, to get a table. And so, it was great to see that these worked, and that it was just a great partnership between the restaurants and the city to get it done and to keep it going.
Amazing. Stephen, anything else you want to add that I didn't ask about?
Yeah, we're really excited. I know the parklets should be in August. We're working with the San Gabriel Valley Conservation Corps to help us do the installation. Like I said, listeners and viewers, come out at late August. We have a car show going on. Hopefully at the end of August, you can come check out. And we have a wine walk hopefully in September. Again, we have all these great events out here, and Glendora is kind of a undiscovered jewel. Yeah, I really encourage everyone to come out and check us out.
Thank you so much for coming on Bike Talk.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And it was a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bike Talk. If you want to hear more, go to kpfk.org, navigate to programs, and choose Bike Talk. On the Bike Talk page, click on the archives link to play or download shows posted in the last 4 months. Go to biketalk.com and copy or click on the RSS link to subscribe. Our Twitter handle is BikeTalkPFK. On Facebook, we are Bike Talk. You can become friends and join our group.